is,
Yeah.
when you look at the, just because I've been on the, it looks like you're dad of a daughter. I'm a dad of a daughter, right? So I had this thing of like, all right, who's next? I mean, next am I going to have to ring before we get to where we're going? So it's interesting for me to hear, um, like that side of it. Folks, welcome to Jeff Robertson Show, back 2:30. Special guest today, back live with me, man. We hadn't talked in forever, and I'm looking forward to catching up with John Wildsmith. And what we were talking about, and I was like, hold on, we got this value. Is if you remember John, he has recovered, it runs a fitness program, has all sorts of cool stuff. And we had talked before, we touched on a little bit about your relationship with just your extended family, with the wife, and then I didn't realize until I saw your post the other day that you guys had actually divorced and went your separate ways, and you was able to put that back together. So here's what we was talking about, folks, and I was like, you know what, this is too good for us to miss. Was we were talking about John's about the holidays, and all right, so walk me back a little bit, dude. Like holidays back when John was using meth. What was that
Yeah.
like?
So great question. And the cool thing about it now is just looking back is it really makes me appreciate just like being around the holidays, the small things, because we're all together. And before it was so displaced. And I can think about one specific holiday. It was right before Thanksgiving, before when I went to prison, and we all met at my wife's brother's house. We're all there. I pull up on my motorcycle. I even drove separately because I knew I just wasn't going to hang long. You know what I mean? So I pull up, we go in, and I don't even think we ate by that time, honestly. I think like we were still cooking food. And, I think Megan texted me because I got on my bike and they're all like, did John leave? And I was out of there. And that was that was the pattern. Like I would show up, I would be there, I would show face for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And this kind of goes back to the conversation of that, the guilt and that shame. Like I was so embarrassed to look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't face the people around me, especially my wife's family. I mean, they knew they knew how deep in the trenches I was. And like by this time, had multiple arrests, had multiple warrants. It was for sure I was going to prison. It was just kind of a matter of time. And so the cool thing to the topic of the, families getting along, when I was not in the picture, my parents and Megan's family still, they had a lot of connection. Like my sister-in-law, my mom, they did a lot of different things. Like they'd go have parties at my mom's house and stuff. So like that their relationship grew when I wasn't around, which is really cool to see now, just how, the relationship they have, and kind of see with I wasn't around, how they grew together as well. So I think that's just kind of looking back on the positive note. It's a good thing from it all. You know what I mean? Like, that's something positive that came out of that situation.
You had your daughter back then too, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
She
like
was.
that's there's a lot of common bond where in like I could see the extended families coming together just because they want to see their granddaughter. They want to
Yes.
they want to have a place in her life. So
And
so
more
back then,
support.
and then did you ever have to do the holidays in prison?
So I was Thanksgiving. I was locked up for Thanksgiving. No, I got out October before. So I was not. I went in January 4th. So like, wow, I didn't think about that. January 4th, so just passed it. And I got out October 31st. So the only holiday really I was in for was July 4th, and then my birthday was March 31st. So again, that just goes back to the blessings of the short time. Like county was like 6 or 7 months. I went to TDC for maybe less than three, and I was just shot out the day before Halloween. And man, yeah, such a blessing.
Yeah.
I love to be able to share that.
Yeah, so all right, so here's where we were just walking into, folks. It was like the time this year, and
Yeah,
and the just how your what is holidays like now?
man. So much more chill for sure. So much more chill. But yeah, just able to. I still struggle, to be honest. I still struggle in the presence of like slowing down and being present, just because I don't know if it's just I'm antsy or it's just still getting adjusted. And I don't want to use that as an excuse because man, it's been 6 years and I feel so blessed to be so far distant from my last relapse, as I like to say. But still, it's still hard, but it's a blessing because it's always a learning experience, and I feel like it's getting better each year. Like I feel each year I'm more calm, and that was hard. Even the first couple years when I was out, my mindset was just like go go go. So holidays, I was present mentally, but not like to the point where I could relax, and I was just kind of trying to get out of the uncomfortable, right? And so now I'm able to kind of take that time and like that tension off, I guess is the best way to say it. Yeah.
I think, dude, sometimes, and I use this is something I encourage when I'm coaching fitness is, you get somebody in who's a little bit overweight and they're expecting immediate results. And I lean hard into, listen, we didn't get here overnight. Like, think about how much time it took to get you in this state of misery, how much time you spent in misery before you even took time to reach out to me. So why do you think this is going to be an instant result? So I think for you, just listening to that is give yourself some credit on learning on how long you were in that other phase of your life. And then it's not an immediate, right? Even for me, dude, is like I can, when you talk about quietening your mind and being able to sit still in a space, I'm just, this is not me. I think my phone, just our accessibility to social media and just being able to occupy my time with that is something. But then I also have people that come alongside me and say, "Yeah, put your phone down. Like, be here,
Yeah.
be with
Yeah.
us." I have to be. It's not it, man. It's when you do something for 15 years or 5 years or whatever. It's not an instant turnaround, and because you're retraining new habits and you're you can see it inside of your socials as you replaced a lot of that negative with positive fitness. But like one of the things I've worked on the last year, dude, is, and this come from just doing some spiritual work with different people that was coming on my podcast, different folks that would come along and give me a little nugget. It would be just find you can start it by trying 3 minutes, move it to 5, but I got to where I can literally sit still for 30 minutes. And I set my phone down. I went the other day, I went and just sat on my couch and I just sat there with my eyes closed and I was listening to the house.
Yeah.
Right? I just sitting quietly to the point where I was done, John. I texted my wife and I was like, our damn house is loud. It's
Yeah.
always
For
something
real.
popping or cracking or buzzing or so I was but that takes here's what I'll tell you, dude. That's not easy. Because I'm sitting there in my brain going, you know what, y'all look at your phone, you know what, y'all text John, see what he's doing, you ought to do
Yeah.
this,
No.
it's just my brain. So I'm just like, dude, just chill out. Just chill out. I listened to a guy doing some guided meditation work, and this is what he said. He's like, just take a deep breath and just let those thoughts kind of leave your brain. He goes, and I know how it is. Those thoughts are right back in there. It happens to me too. It's okay. It's all right. Right. And the way he was presenting it, but that dude, um, that's a huge corner to turn. And I think even for myself is give yourself some grace, give yourself appreciate those little things as far as how far you have come, but don't, you're just retraining. I think some of it comes with age too. Like I don't it's a little bit of growing up, and I think that's our other commonalities. It took us longer to grow up than it did other.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm learning that in other aspects of my life too. Like socially, as you're that to that point, like Thanksgiving, going out and stuff. Like, yeah, definitely socially, kind of getting adjusted to that. But even transitioning into business, man, like to get down to the nitty gritty, going from being a blue collar worker, and as I've told you before, my other job, or when I was in landscaping, I still am doing that. But had an office job for about 3 years, and I just never transitioned fully from the field to the office, and I just struggled for it. And that was kind of the role I was going for, and it just didn't work out. Like, I have a great boss, everything. I really enjoy what I do, and actually doing very well still at Evergreen. But the office role wasn't for me, and so transitioning for my business now, again, going to slow things down. I'm having to learn to sit down without my phone and put pen to paper and put goals down and write that thing out, and not only have the goal but get the steps to reach the goal. And that's the thing about goals, is like we have 6 month goals, year goals, 5 year goals, but what's the breakdown to get there? You know what I mean? And the fundamentals of slowing down from going from outdoor working to indoor working, of I can flourish outside. Physically, I'm in great shape. You give me anything challenging out there, I'm going to tackle it head on. Coming in here to slow things down, where it's a mental game, I'm having to put one step in front of the other to make sure I'm not constantly fumbling. And that's been the transition to your point of like, yeah, it feels like it's a maturity level. Like it's just like learning to grow in all aspects, not just one. My fitness, I've been doing well in for a long time, and I thought that would take me to the top where I wanted to be, and really just highlighted the areas I need to focus on more. And I'm having to level up my mentality to match my the standard I have for fitness. Not to overdo the fitness side, because I think there's more to it than just that. But I think the two are starting to meet together, if that makes sense.
No, it does, dude. 'Cause here's all it is. Like I've been there. I call it out punting my coverage.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so for you is being an outside worker. Like that was me. Like again, my whole identity was wrapped up in public safety and being a police officer. I didn't know anything else. So when I transition or when I move into the private sector, there's a whole learning curve of that and figuring out who I was, and I turn corners on that still today. And I think I encourage everybody to do that. But I think what happens sometimes, like, is it's us developing as leaders. And when they say, "Hey, John, you do such a good job out here, we're going to bring you in the office there, man. Maybe see how you do inside the office." Is you could probably do it. There was maybe a training gap to where they made an assumption that just because you're good over here, maybe he will be good here, without trying to do any kind of training or bringing you in. And that's when I got to. There's a point in time at the one of my last W-2s to where I was really felt like it ain't that I had accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish, but I felt like I was starting to get in over my head from the leadership side. Like I'm a technician, and what was happening to me was, if you come to me and you couldn't get yours done, I was like, just leave it for me, I'll take care of it. I was basically my idea of leading back then was I was doing everybody else's work for them because all the boss cared about was it was done. So I was doing a poor job, and that's the problem with doers sometimes. So again, it's just another one of those phases. And when you mention goals, John, the other thing, like I've had people come to me like, "I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I mean, this is my plan set." No, I'm like, you ain't said nothing about what you're doing tomorrow.
Right.
Like I'm with you. I want you to get all that, but you ain't told me nothing about how you get back in this door tomorrow.
That's it.
So I was working with my baseball kids last night, and that's what I was telling you today. I'm gonna work with them a little bit today, and I work with them on mindset and just those inefficiencies. I know the game, but I don't know the game like the other coaches do. But I come alongside in that leadership side of working on those little things like, hey, anybody want to play college ball? And they're like, oh yeah, hands will go up, and I'm like, well, that ain't magic. Let's sit down and create. So we try to help them create steps to help them get to where they're going, and helping them understand that effort matters and all those little things. I love doing that, man, just because of where me and you too, of where we've been and how it looked for us. And I'm thinking like, with just trying to reach those folks that like I really enjoy helping people reach their goals and get to where they're going and helping them create plans and visions and being very just straight, because it is like, you're listen, if you want to go play college ball, like you can probably, but anybody could go play but to play you might be able to make a team like some of the private schools. They're smaller, it's not as competitive to get in, but to be able to play in college ball and get active time, I think that's a different lift. I think it requires effort, and for those, so to your point there with goals, and being able to stop and write down things and create structure and inside of your own life, that's tough.
Yes.
It's tough for someone who's like us, who struggled to kind of grow up. We grew up a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure. It is. Putting things pen to paper is very, very difficult for me. But I found out how valuable it is over the past year. I mean, I've always had a pretty good routine, but the past year I've really practiced on, like we said, slowing things down. And I use the time, between 4 and 6 to get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think just kind of being up before everyone else, having that quiet time, like genuine quiet time, like you said, I still struggle even then to separate my quiet time and my content, right? Because my content has a lot to do with my business. And so I got to make sure I can separate the two, but still do them together to where I'm not like overflowing my phone time with just leisure, doing my content, putting it down, staying in my active morning process, right? Which is difficult. I've gotten pretty good at it the past couple months, but it is very difficult. But I think routine, like even with my Bible study or my like little morning devotion, I remember when I was speaking with one of my mentors, who I met with him right before we actually got on today. He said, it is about routine. You're not always going to get all this information out of your morning read. Sometimes you'll get one or two little nuggets, like we were
Yeah.
saying, but then over time that builds, and after that builds, you're getting more and more out of it. And the more you get out of it, those nuggets go with you throughout the day, and that's the point of it, right? It's not just sit down and retain something right now. You want to sit down and retain something that you can take with you throughout the day and share with others, and then that's the meat and potatoes of it. Like, that's the
Yeah.
process.
That's why
So
I was telling you about how I was using ChatGPT to help me study some of that. Just study different books and different things, and it really helped me pull together this concept called Endodyne. And no one was really using it, but are you familiar with what Endodyne might mean if you put them
no,
together?
sir.
Power within. The power within. What I realized was part of my leadership and discovery, and through this conversation with you, is what I enjoy doing is helping people discover that they have the answers to all their problems.
Yeah, yeah, I
Right?
understand.
You just helping people discover the power within, create those moments to where for clarity is like those quiet moments is just learning how to quieten your mind, slow down, pay attention to your feelings, and kind of those, like when you're getting ready to move into something. Like I had a couple business calls this morning, and I was like, I replaced what I used to call nervousness. I created with excitement, because I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to talk to these guys about stuff I enjoy doing. Man, it went over like boom. They were like, Jeff, we need you there. I'm gonna go meet them on site and stuff. So Endodyne is something that was born out of the just that work I kept doing, and then I kept putting stuff together and was trying to figure it out. But it's a little bit, it's like listen to your gut, listen to your feelings, and being right with yourself in the moments. And a lot of that comes from law enforcement. And what you'll find, John, is a parallel between your lifestyle and mine is whether it's both of those kind of run together is a lot of times you got to be cool under pressure. No different than you when you were off doing the other, using drugs, doing all the other stuff, doing things on your motorcycle that probably should have took you out of here. There's a certain element of that. Law enforcement super dangerous, all the things there, but there's both of them come together when you're approaching situations and paying attention to trusting kind of yourself. So that's is a little bit of discovery of self-awareness is part of what I walk on. But then so it's just a common sense approach to leadership and life and all those things. So that's the other thing I think that was born out of. And I tell you that, like, as you're journaling, is don't be afraid to look at that journal that you create in those messages and see if you can't find a common theme, dude. Because that's what I was. I kept
Okay.
just I was reading the stuff, and I was putting some content out, and I'd read it and I was like, how does this apply to me? Yeah, I've sent you some of it, like some of those characters I was studying, and some of those very old more mystic type religious stuff, but names that come up in biblical times. And I sent you some of that, some different things that I've studied on those figures that influence and create opportunities for us to go do bad things, and then it's their job to bring us back when it's time to do that, those tempted moments. But I started seeing a common theme, John. I'll tell you this and I'll shut up. I was thinking, I was like, is there something here? And I basically asked out loud. I was like, just remember, I'm not the smartest, man. Sometimes you got to be very, very deliberate with me. You got to put it in my face, and so you don't have to put me back in jail. You don't have to give me another DUI, but you can just you can leave me a message somewhere, and because I'm listening. I had a dream that my wife was having an affair with Nate, and he worked at Endodyne.
Okay.
All right,
Wow.
listen, let me tell you what. I used to be an investigator, John. When I woke up with purpose, and I went to work, trying to find who this freaking Nate was. For so there's no Nate. It works at Endodyne. But Endodyne, when I was like, what is it? But it was very, very visual and very vivid. And I was like, this is meant for me. So that's what happened. That's the backstory. And when I went down, I was like, this is a really cool word. And when I was like, what's this mean? It was like power within. Dude, I went and no one was using that in leadership development. Nobody. You Google Endodyne when we get off, it's all
Yeah.
me. It's 100%
Okay.
Jeff. It all. If you Google Endodyne, it comes back to me. I trademarked it. Uh, I trademarked the term, and I brought it all under my coaching umbrella because it was such a vivid thing from that dream. So I just went to work and no one was using it. There was an old medical company that had used it for like some kind of medical device, whatever. But outside of that, man, it was clean. It was a clean word that because it's in the coaching world for business when you're trying to help John Wildsmith establish his brand, his identity, and from an internet footprint now, and just helping you navigate that, like creating words and things like that, just making sure we're not stepping on somebody's trademark and all that. Man, that's how that was all. That's how it all come together. So that's why I was telling you that my common theme, and I kept missing it. So it came. It was my dream, and then I went back and I was like, "What does Endodyne mean to all this?" And they was like, "Oh, this is all Endodyne." I was like, "Son of a bitch, I done
Yeah,
missed this the whole time." So
very
anyway,
interesting.
go back. As your and something you might think about is you can snap pictures of your journal and just of your stuff and just dump it into your favorite AI tool. Just be like, is there a common theme here? Is there a commonality? Or is there a common message? Or is there something? Because what you'll find sometimes is you might be the universe might be giving you some advice and it's in nuggets and you're getting a little bit, but when it all comes together and you're like, oh, what the heck?
Right.
So think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting though.
Go ahead.
I haven't thought to go back and really read through any of my like last year journals. So that's interesting just to think to do that. Yeah.
Do you
See
have
where I mean I,
anything from like prison stuff you was doing back when you was incarcerated or any of the old work?
that I'd have to ask Megan.
Yeah.
That I would have to because yeah, that's a good question. I because I've looked for my like TDC ID and I haven't been able to find that. So I don't know if I just got rid of it all or when I got back from like threw it all away. I don't even remember honestly, but yeah,
I
that'd be
did. I
interesting to look.
tossed on myself. I have very little from my law enforcement days. Um, as the kids got older, I was like, I really wish I could just show them some of the cool stuff I got. 'Cause I have pictures of things that I did and me and things that we got to do, and I had videos of cool trainings and different stuff. But all of it went to a burn. I incinerated most all of it. I got a few things that were just like had my name on it, keepsakes, and my wife. One of my wife was like, "I'm taking that," and just different little things. But I did something similar because I just need John at the time. I needed separation between that life and who I am.
Yeah, for sure. So I know like Tempe, my daughter has some letters that I wrote her, and I think that's what Megan has some letters that I was writing her. And you know, a lot of that stuff when you're incarcerated is like, oh, I'm never gonna do this again. I'm so sorry. I mean, that's what a lot of that stuff is. You talk to a lot of people, and that's their first instinct. You know what I mean? And then you kind of start repeating habits, repeating patterns. And that's what happened to me. I was just, oh, this will never happen again. I got out within 60 days, hit that relapse, and was like, what are we doing? What did even happen? You know what I mean? So it's interesting because that I have read some of those like letters when I first got locked up from her. But yeah, man, it's
That'd be a good share,
been
John. That would be a
yeah
really cool. I think when you look at that, as if it's something like that as you get ready, that would be a really cool social post of that. Well, maybe just a few sentences of a letter you sent to your daughter, your wife, or whatever, and walking through those trying times. Because I've been there. Like I think there's a lot of folks that have, like we have, you know what, Lord, if you can get me out of this situation, I ain't never coming back again. And then you back, right? You know what I mean? It goes away and you're back in there and then you're sitting around and you go, I lied. I'm sorry. Thanks for putting me back in here.
that's
That's,
relapse right there. And I've kind of been highlighting that in some of my content recently is just the most important thing you can do. I've said this to so many people recently. The most important thing you can do is put as much time as possible between you and that last relapse. Yeah, right. That sounds easy for one, but I say last relapse. I don't say from the last time you used drugs because if you're struggling with drugs at all, you've relapsed at least once. You know what I mean? And if you're
yeah.
struggling with drugs bad, your relapse is going to be a part of it. It is. Relapse is part of addiction. So it's just a matter of like making sure you put as much time as possible. And that does get easier. For me, for the first 2 years was difficult. And then after that it was maybe that last, I don't know, it took about a year to where I just wasn't struggling at all with the idea of using drugs.
It's coming back, buddy. Hang on a second. It was doing this a little bit yesterday. Tell me while I'm fixing this, dude. Tell me, can you hear me, John?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me what when you go back to that time, what was the moment you discovered new purpose? Like what was that? Where was you at when you were like, you know what, I'm done. This is it. Like what stumbled in your life that gave you new purpose?
When I relapsed.
Yeah, what I
Yeah,
thought.
definitely when I relapsed. It was February 1st, 2020. That was about 2 months, 3 months after I was out of prison. It was a week before my daughter's first daughter dance for us together. She did one the prior year with my dad while I was incarcerated. Um, and it was actually on her birthday that first year that I was out. We had a couple of drinks. We had like a cookout. People came over, had a couple of drinks, and ended up, man, I ended up drinking a lot. And I relapsed that day on her birthday and ended up doing drugs for about 7 days and ended up going to daddy daughter dance with her. And I was just strung out of my mind looking at the pictures, just kind of going back to that moment, man. That was just the most heart wrenching time. Like I was in my room with my wife before, just begging her, please don't make me go. And then just like the guilt from asking, don't make me go to this daddy daughter dance where I'm supposed to be enjoying myself. It was just a disgusting feeling. And to that moment, I mean, was just kind of rock bottom for me. Where I was being like when I felt pulled against the gravel, as I like to say. Yeah. So everything's been going good on that aspect. Been applying the pressure as the new year starts for sure. Um, got a couple new clients that just started at the beginning of the year. One of them down, I think, 25 pounds now. The other one's down about 15 pounds. So we're dropping weight as we start the new year. So that's super awesome. A couple of things I've implemented on the coaching side is now I have a weekly group call that we're doing. And then also, like, we have a multiple different accountability checkpoints kind of. So that way they can be talking together in a group chat where it's not just me. So that way they have the accountability with multiple different people. So if they need something right away, there's someone else that can answer and stuff. And that's been super instrumental. You know, I'll go in there and see like 3 or 4 of my guys talking together, and it's just like, man, just building that camaraderie. It's really cool to see, and it's very, man, I say motivating. I try to avoid that word just because, man, we're trying to move out of just discipline consistency, right? But I think once we get that to the point where we're constantly getting results, the motivation starts to fill that gap, I think.
I think I mean, dude, I think motivation's a good word, but I think for both of us in these sense, like it's our purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep, right. But then when you see that, when you see those clients come together, you put them together.
Yeah, we bridge the gap. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
John Wildsmith, throughout all the hell you put yourself through and your family through and all those things, is you ultimately created this moment where other like-minded individuals landed in your watch, and you get to kind of, you're somewhat of that caretaker that just moving them into their next phase of where they're heading. So I think, and that so out of that result becomes a huge motivation for us because it's what we enjoy doing. And I had somebody like, because there ain't enough, I don't think. I mean, there's a lot of John Wild Smiths and Jeff Robertsons that are out there in the world, but folks migrate to the people that that speak to them and their situations and like-minded individuals, right? So I don't know that I had someone who's like, oh, here comes another guru, here he's going to sit there. I'm like, man, you know, you mean be negative? Would you rather me show up and be an asshole or be a jerk to you? Or, is that what you're looking for? Because that's not me. It's okay for you to not follow me. I think it's the other thing that when you get to the social media side of it I block. I just don't get a lot of negatives, but I have friends that have way more larger accounts than what I do, and they'll call me and be like, "Man, I got this," and I go block them. And then I said, "You'll feel better." And they're like, "You think I should? Is that petty?" And I go, "No, this is a distraction. You don't need to." But then I remind them, once you start getting haters, the right people, the people that need to hear you are hearing you as well.
Agreed. Agreed. Man, that's interesting. So I think social media plays a huge part of it, right? And kind of what we're doing as far as business and strategy. I've had a lot of good traction the past 2 months, really, on social media. And that's obviously helped the business quite a bit. Just conversations, meeting the right people. I did a 5x5 workout that I did in prison, and I posted that. And that one just kind of busted. And I've been just kind of running those back to back. and it's been very helpful. I've gotten a lot of good feedback. People just kind of message me on notice like, hey, thanks for the workout. I'm able to do this anywhere. And man, it's been really cool to see kind of how that works. Is just kind
Yeah.
of how the algorithm picks up on certain things, and I'm starting to see other people do different versions of it. And I posted about that yesterday, which was really cool because someone said that it's like, oh, why is everyone doing this different version of 5x5s? I had no idea. It was a prison workout that I did, and I posted it, and a lot of people liked it. And then they're like, yeah, if you see this person, they're doing different versions of it too. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I made up a different version, and you just have all these people just kind of circulating burpees for one, because that's kind of my specialty, but also with that 5x5. So it's been really cool to see the transition from just like really what happens when something I guess you could say goes viral, but then also like the support behind it too. Because for one, it was a positive thing. It's workouts. Everyone's liking it. It's not just some random viral video of someone talking. It was actual value, which is why it went viral more than likely, is because it's something you can implement to help yourself.
I think you got that. I think it's a good angle, but I think we also, a lot of us are attracted to hard. Like I remember like seeing a Navy SEAL workout, and I'm like, all right, let me see what this is
Yeah.
like. You
Yeah.
know, I bought P90X years ago because someone said, "Oh, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do," and I was like, "Okay, well, let's see." So when you put those out there, it's like it's just for me. It's be like, yeah, I did prison work because I do my burpees the same way you did. I never went to prison, but I do my burpees with just a fire because I got little short arms and I'm chest strong, so it's easy for me to fire off with my arms and chest. And then I'm freaking 5'7", so me getting back up is no big deal. But I did 70 before at my gym. As programmed today, we had 7 rounds of just different leg type exercises and some overhead lunges and 10 burpees.
Yes.
Um, but so I did. But man, I tell people, man, you'd be surprised at when at the gym. Um, and I'm not mad at, but just the folks that would come in that couldn't get out of the floor, like just not big, like just average folks or whatever, that when you lay them down flat on their backs on the floor and say, okay, let's sit up and get up. It
Yes.
is an undertaking. It's freaking kicking and pulling. And so I tell people, I'm like, man, if you can pull off a burpee a day, if you can just lay down on the floor and walk yourself back up upright, you're winning.
And I did a instructional video of how I do burpees a couple weeks ago, and that did really good because yeah, to that point, so many people kind of overcomplicate it and try to like fall to the ground and do it. And so I did it in three different parts, and kind of was like, all right, really, it's super simple. You just don't want to literally hit the ground, and that's what a lot of people do. Like that's why I think they can't get up. You got to kind of go down, plank position, push up, and come up, and it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, you'd be surprised how many people can't do one burpee.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, but all I need is I think it's just helping people. And I'm not, um, like I get people to come with me to my workouts and some of the places I go, and I just like seeing people. Everybody's like, um, I just like seeing people working out. If you and I have people sometimes like Jeff, man, I know you do group exercise and you're over here like I just like doing my own thing. I'm like, are you doing something? They're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. Just do something.
Yes.
Even if it's putting on a pair of shoes and going walking in your neighborhood. And I had someone message me the other day and had some big goals, like I want to lose 50 pounds and I want to do this, I want to do that. And I go, start with a pair of shoes. Start with a new pair of shoes walking in your neighborhood, man. Don't overlook that. Control what you're going in. And nutrition's the other thing I think that people was my wife makes she's like she just don't understand why you don't get how many calories you should have a day and what protein portions look like. I didn't I just John it I took me out in the gym for a year before I really started to understand that stuff. So folks like you that is like, hey, this is you make simple work of it. It's like, hey, do this, this is what that should look like, and you put it in a video or you put it on your app that you're using, for your coaching or what have you to where they can see it. And because what I didn't realize was I thought when you ate healthy, you could eat it all. Healthy Choice ice cream is healthy, John.
I mean, there's a balance to it for sure.
I
There's
didn't
a balance
realize
for sure.
how, I didn't realize until about labels, like protein diet. And you go and you actually look at it and it's got like, it's a like Snickers came out with protein bars, which is really
Yep.
cool. But it's, they added whey into there. So some of this stuff that you see is like protein, this and the other. It's like 8 grams of protein. Well, that's not protein.
Yeah.
It's just enough on there for them to be able to put it on their label. So just learning about labels and so don't, like when you're coaching is I learned that kind of through my own journey of just saying this. I'll tell you what, dude. When I first got into fitness owner in the gym, I would skip breakfast and I would eat like greens. I would have celery and a bag of celery. I'd eat a cucumber. I'd have just like greens, and then I would eat a bag of chicken, like a fistful. I chopped up in chicken breast. I'd snap out that. And then come the evening, I would eat whatever dinner. And finally, the guy I was working with, he's like, "You know why you like you fat?" And I was like, "No." I said, "Because I eat healthy." And he's like, "Dude, you're not getting enough calories. Like you're just you. I've been with you for a week now, and what you're eating is not translating into the 2,000, 2,500 calories you need per day." And I was probably eating, by the time I was done, I was probably eating 1,200 calories back then. 200 pounds, 220 pounds of carrying body fat because I didn't understand fat burn, protein, all those things. So he really helped me but that when I was studying, my wife was going, I just don't get this. The first time I ate, we went on a really macro based program at the gym. The first time I tried to eat, I was eating 2,000 calories, so 500 4 times a day. It was hard for me to eat that 500 calories in one setting.
How long from then did it either become easier, or did you start like realizing how long did your to take your hunger to kick in?
Just a matter of weeks, probably not long. It's just a here's what I learned was my wife put some what I call fillers, like just greens and things to help negotiate the protein. I have to eat my protein first, then my carbs and fats, and then I'll go to the greens as the last. If I'm trying to eat all the other stuff together, that's what I learned. I just had to figure out what it would take because I was eating too much volume out of the greens. So I just once I figured out like separating that out, giving my carbs, fats, and my protein. Let me work through that, and then it wasn't but a little bit light. And I was like, all right, hang on here. I need to figure out how I'm going manage 2,000 calories because I don't feel like this is enough because you start eating it, you
Yeah.
get used to it. And then the other thing I don't think folks account for is when you work out 70 burpees. When you work out, is you're kind of buying back. You get to buy back some of those calories as well based on your activity level. So treating your body kind of like the example I always give is if your body's was a car, and I'm putting gas in the tank. The difference between me and my car is the car finally quits and pulls over when it's out of gas. My body starts retaining fat. It starts doing negative things, and to compensate when you're under eating. To get to where I was, protein wise, and my one of the tricks that my wife is absolutely is meal prepping. We prep everything on Sunday, and then she keeps everything's in a container. So when I grab a container, I got my protein for that portion, and that's pretty much how I'd set myself up is make it as super simple as I possibly can.
And that's one of the changes that we've made as far as breaking down not only the macros for clients, but also giving them a full grocery list and then a
Yeah.
meal plan to the gram. Before I was just doing a meal plan, or wasn't I'm sorry, not the meal plan, just the macros, and then we would talk through all the meals and kind of put everything into place. But now we're doing a full on meal plan, so that way they don't have to worry about tracking anything. And that's how we've gotten a lot much more success kind of out the gate this year already. So to your point, yeah, everything to the gram. I'm a firm believer in tracking the macros. And the difference where I like to preach balance is when you first go on your weight loss journey, you have to go through a fat loss stage before you can start implementing the foods that you want to have a balanced
Yeah.
diet. You know what I mean? That's where people struggle. They want to start having a balanced diet when they're in their fat loss stage, and that's just where your metabolism won't fully learn to fire. And here's one of the biggest tricks in my trade, other than pre and post workout carbs, which are essential, and a lot of people drop the ball there with fasting before their workouts. Understandable, there's a challenge to that, but without having a post workout meal, you're still going to struggle to fully get results. But one of the biggest tricks to the trade is separating your fats, carbs, and proteins again around your workouts. You want to have whole proteins and whole carbs before your workout, whole protein and whole carbs after your workouts. Avoid fats. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm eating peanut butter stuff around my workouts. Your body has a harder time breaking down carbs and protein and sugars together than they do separately. Your body can break down sugar and protein around a workout very well. It cannot break down the fat around that same time. So I feel like that's very important. That's one of the basics to what we do, is just trying to to teach carb timing and also when to eat. Eating
Yeah.
windows is very, very important.
No, dude, that's you're spot on with that.
And teaching the proper way to fast if a client wants to fast.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of clients that really necessarily want to fast, but it's a question I get all the time. You know what I'm saying? Is fasting good? Can I fast? Yeah, absolutely. You can fast, but you got to learn how to make sure that the reason most people say not to fast is because you won't get to your point we were just having. You won't get enough protein in that window. If you can fast for 16 hours and eat for an 8-hour window, which is what most people like to do, say 12 and 12. That's what I like to recommend. 12 hours fasting, 12-hour eating window. Then you can get all of your meals in 12 hours, no problem. But if you start to do 16, 8 or anything less, you're going to have a hard time getting, for the average man, 180, 200 grams of protein in that 8-hour window.
Yeah.
So that's one of my biggest things I like to get across to people. Fasting is great, but you got to be able to consume your body amount of protein in that eating window.
The other thing, I've had someone expert that gave me some advice on it. I don't remember where I got it, but he was like, when you get into fasting, he said, don't over, like, what he said, when's your last time, when's your timing on your last meal? And I go, generally no later than 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock is probably most time the kids are in the house, done with games, whatever. By, if it's a game, we're in by 7. If it's practices, we're in by 6. Everybody's eating, we're doing our thing, done 6:30, 7:30 if it's late. Don't take for granted your sleep time. Like, just like, that's fasting time. Is don't
100%.
forget. Yes, don't
Yeah.
forget, because I know guys
No,
that are
that's
bulking that wake up at 2 in the morning and they'll eat. Like, they'll get up at 10.
yes,
There's a guy I know. He had a plate of chicken. He'd wake up at 2 in the morning, eat that plate of chicken, or
yeah.
something. He had put, or drink a protein shake or whatever at 2 in the morning, because he was bulking, trying to gain. So he was trying to eat during his sleeping time to keep his weight gain going. But for the most of us, is from, so if you ate at 6 o'clock, so just call it from 7 till 7 in the morning. If you
Exactly.
sleep till 7, whatever. If you don't eat till 7, that's a 12-hour window.
That's great. That's outstanding, and that's the one fasting window I do recommend for sure. I'm not against fasting. My whole purpose to talk about it is just to make people understand the reason behind it. Yeah, it's great for the body for sure, but 12-hour fasting is probably one of the best ones to do. And then, yeah, to your point, think about bodybuilders that have to eat 12 meals a day every 2 hours in a 24-hour period. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to eat a couple meals in the middle of the night, too. I've never gotten to that point. I've gotten to it to where I have eaten in the middle of the night just because I was hungry, but never because I felt like I had to.
You put a chain on your refrigerator, dude. You've got a Craven's chain
That's
on your refrigerator for that reason.
that's it. That's exactly right. I try to do the opposite of that.
I think it was me and my son. We were watching something. The guy was saying, and I was like, I've
I
just
just
never
lost you
had the,
there.
I've
You're
never
good.
had the urge to get up in the middle of the night and go eat. I've never had the urge to get up in the middle of the night and go. Me and my son, I was like, you ever get hungry in the middle of the night? He's like, nope. I'll get up and drink some water. I've done that, or have to take something, some coughing, or I can't sleep or what have you. But I'll get up. I've gone up and wandered the house, did everything, but I've never got up and been like, man, I'm gonna go here and just knock out this cake real quick. Just never had that urge.
That's a
You do?
blessing. Be grateful for that.
Really?
Be so glad for that. I have that so bad. Yeah. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Like real bad. I mean, I've broken it for the most part over the past couple months for sure. But yeah, like I think a lot of it for me, I try to avoid falling asleep on the couch. Because
Yeah.
if I fall asleep on the couch, then I know it's like mainline to the pantry. But if I don't fall asleep on the couch and go to bed, lock everything up, again, it's just about being intentional. It's like, doing everything with a purpose. If I just let myself slip, then yeah, like I'm going to just probably mainline to the. Everybody has their issues. I struggle with food just like everybody else.
Yeah. Now, listen, man. I ain't trying to be, but that's just one of the things. I'll before I go to bed, I'll eat all the freaking ice cream in the house, right? I mean, Like before I go to bed, yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I will run through some freaking calories, and but I've just never been a get up in the middle of the night. Well, I was going to ask you, how does do you get to coach in your acting world? Do you find yourself? Do you have clients that come out of your acting? Do you find yourself being authority on a movie set or your TV sets? How does that mesh in? And then how is your acting stuff going?
So great question. Yeah, it definitely it definitely helps. You know what I mean? It's definitely a conversation starter and really puts you in the right rooms. You know what I mean? I've met a lot of really good people. Met a lot of really good people that have just kind of helped me along the way, and I've been able to kind of give them some knowledge as well in that same aspect. But it's definitely starting to get in the right rooms, I would say. And I was actually talking to my coach about that recently. Is just making sure everything's got to have a counterbalance. Like it's got to be worth it for a little bit between my day job and acting. It wasn't balancing out for a cash flow purpose. I made more at my day job, and then I kind of had to get to a point to where, again, it just had to make sense. And so I've been off this week. I'm actually doing a couple. I'm doing a show 3 days this week actually, so I'll be on set for the next 3 days: Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then I have another show coming up in on the third, so I guess next week. So it's going good, and it's balancing the two, right, the three really, between my day job acting and then also my coaching. But I'm really putting my time into my coaching. Like I spent more time just really diving into that. I'm not going to sideline acting, as you could say, but I'm really just going to prioritize my coaching business, and then let the modeling acting kind of, I have an agent for that, right? So I'm going to let them do their thing, and just prioritize my time, making sure, like we're talking about, slowing things down and putting pen on paper.
Do you find yourself following the flow that's coming to you? Like you're coaching, you got folks coming in, it's starting to see some money, you're starting to turn a corner with that to where it's
Yes, yes, and I feel like I'm just starting to get the momentum, because again, I think it's an attention thing. It's just where I've been putting my attention. And so the more I put my attention on what's important, the more momentum I feel like I'm getting. Kind of to just calming the noise around me and being able to focus.
I think that's sorry about that.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah, no, you always have great wisdom on stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, I feel the traction. Like I definitely feel like we're getting some traction for sure, and just nothing but positive vibes and positive feedback. So I'm excited, man. Like this next year is going to be life changing for sure, man. I'm excited.
What would you
I was man, I was just gonna say this next year is gonna be a good year. I'm excited. I feel the momentum for sure.
yeah, I think you're definitely headed in a really good direction, dude. What else has been happening?
Man, just getting through the holidays. So haven't been doing a whole lot on set. So I actually didn't. Megan and I are doing one of the next TV shows together, actually. So we had a fitting yesterday. Yesterday was our yeah. We've done a couple of TV shows together, but we're about to do one on the 13th. Yesterday was our anniversary from getting remarried. So to your
I saw
statement.
that. That's why I was going to ask you about it. So tell me about that. And you told me a little bit of that, John, to where you were like, I remember you telling me, and you go, one of my wake up moments is when Megan said, "I don't know that I want to do this no."
Yeah, and that was the day of the daddy daughter dance when, like, yeah, I relapsed after a week, and she's like, "Man, I can't believe we're back at this moment already." So we got divorced while I was locked up, and I had a couple vehicles seized, and I had a couple motorcycles that were stolen on me when I was arrested right before that, and so they were trying to seize my house, and so Megan, basically, got divorced, put everything in her name, so that way we could keep as much as we had. And through that moment, that was 2018, I think, August. I remember it was August when I was in, and we were pretty much been divorced until past 2 years, and we stayed together. I mean, she stayed. Megan's the same for that. She stayed with me through being locked up, through getting out, and then about I don't know, about a year after that, we were obviously talking about getting remarried, but I know it was still very soon. And I don't know, I think it was just that 5 year mark that we were just realizing, like, man, this is the direction we want to head. And she stuck with me through it. And it's just, man, it's been amazing. Like it's more than a blessing. It just kind of shows her character, and just really, I'm excited to see where we go from here. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of, I'll be honest, it's kind of a loss of words, because to the momentum that you're talking about, like it's all building up. The pressure, under pressure, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, under pressure right now, in all the right ways, but it's just been building up the momentum from our relationship, the momentum from our business, the momentum we've been putting in together. It's all coming kind of like to a positive head, what it feels like, you know what I mean? To where it's like, all right, well, this is what we got to do. That's why we have to buckle down, because this is the work that's got to be done. And so that's the momentum that I feel right now. That's the pressure I feel.
Well, and hey, man, don't confuse pressure. Don't confuse pressure for excitement, right? Like that's what like I had someone give me that advice. Like don't confuse. They're like, "Are you nervous, Jeff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And they're like, "You ain't nervous. You're excited." I was like, "You know
Yeah,
what?
exactly. Yeah, that's it.
It's really neat, dude, to hear that and hear you guys do it because I think that's ultimately what is. You don't see that till you get a little bit older, but it's really neat to find a teammate who wants to come alongside you and enjoy life together
Yes,
and do
100%.
things together, grow your family's impact, grow your like what you guys are doing with your messaging. She had something else. Y'all posted. What else is she doing? Maybe
Yeah,
that
so
was the app. Yeah, tell me.
she's been posting a couple different journals on Etsy. So she's had a multiple different ones. So she did a sobriety journal, a journal for tracking daily habits, and then she did another one for excuse me, for little girls, so that they can kind of track their progress through getting older. And so that one, as you know, having a 12-year-old daughter, that's where she's just really, and also we just started homeschooling Tempe, so it's kind of
Really?
designated or designed around just them growing up, also her being able to track her daily habits and also track just what she's doing throughout the day, her chores and everything, and just kind of learn to prioritize habits and just kind of staying on track and organization. I mean, being homeschool, you got to be organized. You got to make sure that you go from one subject to the next and completing tasks without someone else checking on you. And so we're trying to instill that early. And Megan had this idea of being able to kind of, with the sobriety thing, that's something we've lived, something I've worked through. She's seen it between myself and her family members. And so she has a lot of value to add to that. So she came up with an idea, and then she put it out there to sell that idea. And so she's done that with multiple different things. And man, it's awesome. Like to see her be able to come down. She did a lot of marketing for the company that we used to work for, that I still work for. And so to be able to see her transition what she did before to our business is amazing. Like it is a lot of the things that you see. Okay, a lot of the things that you see is that stuff that she has done in this room. Man, she put it together. Like a lot of this stuff, she just has. We talked about it. She just boom put it together. She's had the time since she's just been off, and so it's been an amazing thing. So go back to just how much support I have from my wife is just unmatched.
We'll have to get her on. So we had talked about that a little bit. Hey, I like to get and just amplify that journal work that she's doing because that's what I think, folks. Um, Law enforcement, John, and I don't know and I feel like you have a really good side of this. We'll wrap up with this. Law enforcement, when I would go there, is I might have John Wildsmith, who's the drug addict. He's bad. He's going. Jeff, I will go for the title. You come in here and try to get me. Then you have the wife
Yeah,
who sometimes is just trying to be I married a man. I didn't marry I didn't realize I was marrying all the problems that came with it, or this is where life set us. I also had friends, John, that went into the hospital for a routine surgery and became addicted to pain medicine, and their lives and relationship was turned upside down by no fault of just having an injury and becoming addicted to opioids through that. So it's but there's and what I guess the point I'm trying to make is there's another story.
yeah,
Yeah, right. There's another side of the story out there that has a whole nother perspective about how John Wildsmith affected her and the inspiration that she carries for other women and spouses that are out there that are because it's going on right now, dog. While me and you're talking, it's somebody's living it right now, what you guys have already lived.
it gives me the chills when you say that, because that's her and I have been talking about that nonstop, and that's the reason you hear about these things is that's because she's starting to put her stuff out there, and that's a lot of that's come from years of my conversation that we talked about having her on and doing this, and so
Yeah.
she's man, it's amazing. I'm so proud of her doing that because to your point, it's not only a whole other side, it's a very sensitive topic. You know what I mean, for her and just this our story. So I'm
John,
excited.
it's got to be an element of listen, man. There's a little bit of pride, you know what I mean? Of yeah, I didn't want to be a doormat. I didn't sign up to be a doormat here. I didn't, you know, I didn't. I'm not. There's a little bit. There's also a little bit of embarrassment, just things of that, just because, right? And I totally, man, the hell I put my even. I'll tell you the story next time we get together. Just like you know, even me and my wife is man. I got arrested as a cop. She's you know, it reflects on them. It reflects back on them and my mom, right? Of just how I affected the women and the close women, my mom and the girl I was dating at the time. So it's they have the side of that too of how we've impacted them.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is. And that's obviously been a factor of how she rolls everything out and the timing of everything. So yeah, we definitely got to be cautious of feelings, emotions, and stuff like that for sure. We'll definitely tread lightly, but no, it's cool. I'm excited to for her to share her story. It's going to be a great story.
Yeah, I think it will be, dude. Let's try to catch back in a little more of a routine. Like
Yeah,
we hadn't
please,
seen.
please.
Check in with Abe. I need to check in with Abe, see how he's doing. But as you get ready, I just thank you, man, for taking
Yeah,
an hour just to shoot the breeze with me and catch me up. We'll create some cool content out of this for your you know your mission that you're on and man, I just enjoy catching up and you know just kind of walking beside you and where you're at, and obviously I try to like, share, comment.
yeah,
John
likewise.
sent me a post the other day. Man, John was like, "Dude, I got something's kind of breaking off here. It's a good one, and I love it when you do that because I'm like, man, I appreciate the opportunity to amplify even just that little share. It might not get two new views, but guess what? That's two new views. That's super impactful for you, man. So I appreciate you looping me in on all the cool stuff that you do. I'm gonna do all I can to fill your program up with folks that are looking for the John Wildsmiths of the world, man, and I'm excited about what you and Megan are accomplishing and what you're doing, man. So that's really cool stuff. How can folks get in touch with you?
Yes. So Wild Style Fit, TikTok and Instagram's the best way. DM me. We'll talk nutrition. We'll talk fitness, and then hopefully get you a good fit for the program, man. My biggest thing, I just want to help transform lives, and I think the best way to do that is through the physical and the mindset of it. So, man, be stoked to hear from you.
John Wall Smith on the Jeff Robertson Show. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.